Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the East End for Evil, and where have you been?
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I'm the gamer in yellow. Where the hell have you been? You were gone all last week. What do you mean? What do I mean? You weren't here.
Right, yeah. I went to go see some family in Left Town.
What was with like the package that you sent Mikey?
Package? What?
Yeah, it had like a notepad in it with like chronicling like some weird events that happened to you.
Everything is fine.
Everything is fine. Fine. Everything is fine.
Yeah, no, I guess it's I don't know, like something weird, but
That's not a red flag at all.
everything's fine.
That's not a red flag at all. That's not a red flag.
That's not a red flag. That's not a
Red flag at all.
Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for Evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have Patient Sigma, another story in the Won't Think Straight saga. So, yeah, this is another story in the Won't Think Straight saga. I can't remember which one it is numbered wise because, again, the Won't Think Straight saga has a weird way of like numbering its stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this is after this is a story after Notes, as it kind of lets us know right off the hop.
So this should be 6.
So this should be 6? Okay, yeah.
Even though it says at the bottom of 6 is memories, but that's because it doesn't take into account the story that you're on now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yeah, this is by Won't Think Straight. It's on Reddit NoSleep along with all the other Won't Think Straight stories. We'll have a link for the archived list of stories. And let's just get right into it with our initial recommendations. I'm gonna recommend it.
You seemed apprehensive about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to
sorry
partially recommend it.
And I will recommend it.
Okay. Well, let's see why we kind of gave it like the trepidatious, partial, and then just a full recommendation. Starting with the rundown, featuring Won't Think Straight.
Well, Clive.
Well, yes, it is Clive, but first it's Won't Think Straight.
Okay, fine.
First it is WTS. So we're back with Won't Think Straight stories. And Won't Think Straight starts the story with a current update to the entry that happened last time. So Notes. It seems Emily's parents are experiencing strange things in Emily's room with her dolls. And fortunately, they've managed to keep that door closed for now. So I guess we'll find out maybe in the future what's going on there. Maybe. But that's not relevant really to the story at hand. As Won't Think Straight is now on to the main event. This story comes from Clive, a friend of WTS's mother, and they are a psychoanalyst for criminal maniacs, and they specifically delve into what makes them tick. P.S. Also, the name has been changed to protect people's identities and such. So the story is of a time when Clive was brought in by the military to look into a soldier who had gone very bad and strange, and they've codenamed him Patient Sigma. Sigma was a good soldier and practically an American hero until he was injured by a mortar blast and was dead for about 3 minutes. Even after these events, which he did recover from, he went back into the military, though he began suffering very nasty dreams. One morning, he was found in his barracks with his whole squad, dead and being cannibalized by Patient Sigma, who was just also screaming about things watching him, and as he ate his dead squad mates. When military police subdued him, he went into a non-responsive state, not a coma, but simply just tied down to a bed. He would not respond to any kind of interaction at all, and just stare at the corner in his cell, not eating or sleeping, just always watching that corner. When Clive comes into the picture, he also had very little luck interacting with Sigma, no matter how hard he tried. Though he did notice that Sigma would start talking to himself at night on surveillance cameras.
And also scream if he stepped in his line of vision.
Yes. Yeah. If Clive blocked the corner, Sigma would just start screaming. So after several failed attempts to listen in on these nightly conversations that Sigma was having, Clive eventually gets some night vision goggles and sneaks up to the cell. It's here that he discovers Sigma is speaking to something in the corner rather than himself. And when Clive looks over to that corner, he sees 3 demonic goat heads coming out of the wall. He gets noticed by the demons, and this whole event terrifies him enough to flee the cell and resign from the case. And shortly after this flee from the cell goes up in flames along with Sigma. This story was told to WTS directly from Clive, who, while being interviewed for this with the story, never stopped looking at the corner of the room themselves. Finn. So that was our rundown for Patient Sigma. As always, again, as I said before, you can check it out on Reddit NoSleep. And without further ado, we should move on to Everyone Tolerates the Grand Inquisitions. At this point, I've got a couple. I'm going to start with this one here. As a former clinical psychoanalyst, he has witnessed his fair share of the strange, but his most unforgettable is the terrifying case of Patient Sigma. And that's from the end of paragraph 1. After a separation line with all the spoilery, the update about the previous story. But then we move on to the next paragraph. A couple of years ago, he received an unusual and irresistible request from the military to investigate the case of Patient Sigma. And this is at the end of the second paragraph. And maybe I'm just being a little nitpicky or something like that, or maybe this isn't a problem, but it sort of feels like an unnecessary repetition to me. Maybe it's just because both paragraphs end with Patient Sigma, kind of being like them being kind of brought up, the case of Patient Sigma. But also they kind of say the same thing over and over. A little bit, there's a little bit more information added in the second paragraph, but otherwise it's the same thing. They could have just been the same paragraph or fused into the same paragraph, I feel.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll move on to my my next. Yeah. Okay. Gamer, are you agreeing, or are you just biting your tongue?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Then I'll move on to the next thing. 5 days in, his entire platoon failed to show up after Reveille. So I had to look this word up, Reveille, because I was like, what the fuck is that? So according to Wikipedia and also dictionary.com and stuff like that, it's basically the use of a loud instrument in the military to wake the troops up in the morning. That's what they call that event
call.
That time. Yeah, the bugle call. Yeah. Or they use other loud metallic instrument like horns or drums to wake up the troops, kind of thing, in the morning. I just never heard of. I don't feel like I've ever heard that term.
Same, because I always hear it as
Mhm.
like bugle call or whatever, or
Yeah.
just hear it,
Yep.
just just in whatever
Yeah.
movie I'm watching.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I just learned a new word, I guess, like in terms of like military slang or terms. So, but that is my grammar position, honestly. So, Mikey, the E stands for evil.
I have a conjunction junction.
Ooh,
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
It was at this point that Clive was brought in to help find answers. It's beige, but I have a cunning idea. It didn't take much more for him to hand in his notice shortly thereafter. And he's not sure whether that something is looking for a way back, or, having escaped, is looking to roam free. Finn.
so it's a demonic beige color that's escaped.
He's looking for answers. The answer is beige.
Yeah, the answer is beige.
I have a great idea. I'm going to quit. Like that's basically
yeah. I got an idea. You go that way. I'll go home.
yeah. Probably the first thing he could have done if that was the case.
Yeah. That's definitely a nope scenario, like a nope story.
Yeah.
It was beige. Nope. Fuck you, banality. I spent 4 or 5 years in the high school. I am not dealing with those wall colors again.
Goddamn builder's beige. Yeah, that's what happens when Mikey strings a bunch of sentences together that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like it's in their butts. There's always better words to you.
Indeed.
Sometimes you get hilarious stories out of them.
Yeah, this one was pretty funny. Just like succinct, like it's like it was beige. It's like nope. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to the grammar in yellow.
No,
Okay.
I didn't get anything.
All right. Then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. So I'm going to start with first off. I'm going to start with I'm going to bring up the update at the beginning of the story. So it's just like it's an update about the previous story and like what's happening with Emily's parents and whatnot. And then it's like sort of has like spoiler, like, and then here's like a stuff that's happening, and then end of spoiler, and then it cuts to like a horizontal line that separates that section from the actual story at hand and goes into the actual story at hand. I actually kind of like this mention of this update from the previous story, mainly because it just like it kind of teases a potential sequel to that story. And it'll like it doesn't have anything to do with the story that we're actually reading for today, but it ties if you've been following along, like kind of how we've been following along with the Won't Think Straight stories. It's sort of a nice little like kind of like attachment to the story that's coming next, just as a just for like anybody who has been reading and following along the series of stories.
Although I'm not gonna lie, when I first opened up this creepypasta and like in bold, it's like spoiler, end of spoiler with a paragraph in there. I'm like, am I supposed to read that or not read that? Is that spoiling the story up ahead as like a
you got spicy
content warning thing?
Yeah, you got spicy on the Discord chat with me like about it. Like I was like, oh great, Gamer's not gonna like this story because this is like already like spoiled his mood.
Spoiler spoiled my mood.
Yeah.
I was just very shocked by the bolded all caps spoilers. Like,
I
don't know if it's necessary to have it as like loud and concerning as that, because it's a spoiler for the previous story, but like I don't know, it's so loud.
We also kind of get that in like the first line, like first an update from Emily's family via Brad from the previous story, which is linked. So like maybe they could have added like If you wish, read that first before reading the update. If you
Yeah.
haven't already, kind of thing. Yeah.
And again, after I freaked out and asked you if this is a spoiler to this story or something else, I reread it slower, and I realized like it does straight up say what it is. It's just as soon as you open it up and there's a huge all caps spoiler thing, that's what got me on the offensive or defensive, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I personally did not like it.
Okay. That's fair.
In fact, I feel like it adds more to the previous story that should have been in the previous story. Because
But this was put in after the posting of that.
Yeah, but I mean, we do get mention in the note story that there are dolls, but there's no mention that they're creepy dolls.
Well, they're
and
not
then
creepy dolls now, but they're creepy dolls now. They weren't before.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like that would have elevated the previous story had it been in the previous story and not tacked on to this one.
That's fair.
The way it is done here, though, it's like it's adding to immersion because like it's a ongoing story that's happening, and like the previous stories didn't just stop; those things are still continuing, and this is just a mini update from that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Go.
My issue is that when I read it, I was wondering how will this tie into this story.
Me too.
Spoiler: it didn't.
No,
no, it doesn't. It's just a sort of a teaser trailer for something coming up, or that was from the previous thing, like sort of like a teaser trailer for right before you're about to watch a movie.
But
you're about to watch something else.
It's not a teaser trailer. It's the end credit scene for the previous one.
Here's the thing. I'm
end credits scene in the opening credits of the next movie.
Yeah.
From the previous movie.
Here's the thing. I'm kind of with you, Mikey, on this. I feel like you could I'm not 100% sure on how editing posts work on Reddit NoSleep. I should know that more than I do. But so I'm because honestly, my first instinct to like correct this might be even to like take this this spoiler part and make it an update at the very bottom of notes.
Yeah.
Story. But again, I don't know if you can actually edit once you've posted something on Reddit NoSleep, or if you have to like delete the whole thing and restart kind of thing.
That's true. Yeah.
Somebody who's more knowledgeable might be want to let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it does kind of feel like it should be an update on the actual story. It's brought up. It's bringing up, not. But I can also see it as like it's a nice little like kind of tease. It's like, oh, there's going to be more stories in this clearly like continuous set of like of stories that are kind of connected through just WontThinkStraight's like realization that he has a weird place around him. Like he attracts weirdness. So it adds to like the kind of connective or standalone complex aspect of the story, where it's like it's a series of standalone stories that are only that have like a single connection to them. That being the writer. Yeah.
I don't know. Overall, I personally liked it though.
Yeah.
The intro part, because like it adds to like the ARG of it, and him saying like I'm adding this because so many of you are asking. So like in the comments of the previous one, people were asking a whole bunch in the time that it took him to write the next one. So he's like, I'll just add that in, like because there's actual like engagement happening.
Yeah, there's a continuity here of the serialization of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see it from that angle, but I also see what like Mikey's saying. Like this could also be updated there, but for us, it's fine here. So
if this happened all the time, it would feel better. But if it's only happening in this one and no others, it's an outlier.
Yeah. Though that said, like he does mention he does have a habit of bringing up previous stories like right before he starts the next story.
That's true.
So
yeah, the past two said like after the events of this happened.
Yeah, actually, honestly, since the very beginning, he's been doing
Yeah.
that. So this one's just the most dramatic because it's like a full-on like paragraph update.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all the other ones are basically saying like, just after that, I got in touch with this person, and they told me this. Where this is like actual progression of a previous story in the next one, which is neat but odd. So I agree with both of you.
Yeah, we can all go to prom together.
Yay!
Actually, and speaking of, I'm still on this part for my actual thought, not just the mention of this intro, but with the quote here. I'll provide an update if something unusual. Scratch that. More unusual happens. So yeah, the first unusual, like for like if something unusual is like is crossed through with a line, and then it says more unusual happens. ... So I actually like this little like crossed out word bit, even if it might not make any sense in an entry that is that where you could just you could simply like
Backspace.
backspace and then put it, because I'm a sucker for like that kind of attitude in writing.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one a lot for this exact purpose, because like the first thing I thought was the same thing. Like you just hit backspace, but like if it adds so much more by seeing that it's there, and he wanted to say that, but no, that doesn't make sense because it's already unusual. So yeah,
like so like I dig the tude and the vibe, but like it doesn't make sense grammatically, but it's fine the way it is to me. So yeah, but onto the actual story at hand with my quotes and comments and such. So this first quote here, the squad captain marched angrily to the barracks to find out why. Upon entering the room, he was hit full force by a squirrel. He was hit full force with the gruesome sight of blood-splattered walls and half-eaten bodies strewn all over. All right, I was curious about where this was gonna go, especially when it was mentioning like the stories from like a psychoanalyst and stuff. So I was like wondering, it's like it was gonna be more like we're sort of like seeing like him and his patient like delving into the mind of a serial killer kind of thing, and then it just goes straight up into like a gore scene, like of like what the guy did. I was like, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting more visceral. And yeah, this is just like full on like this actually got me a little excited, because I mean, not to say that like a psychoanalyst thing like wouldn't be exciting. It's just there's a certain type of like subtlety when you're doing that kind of stuff over like just straight up showing like why, like showing the results of like why this guy is patient Sigma. So
now, would you have preferred it if this was mentioned? Like, okay, theoretically, if he was able to talk to Sigma, and like Sigma was saying shit and was lying or whatever, like basically making this a different story, basically. And he said like, no, they captured me for no reason. I didn't do anything wrong. And then like cut to him like
looking at the file.
It's still in his file. It said that.
Yeah, I think that would actually be really fun too. Or like maybe even like like the first day he's like trying to get like maybe in the entry, like in his like first entry is like tried getting anything out of patient Sigma today. Nothing. Day one. Hard to believe this coma patient who's not a coma patient did all this based on how he is now. It's like something must have triggered him or something. Like go into that kind of thing. That might be interesting if it was like all blog. It was all like entry form rather than like us having it summarized.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still like it the way it is.
There could have been more like analyzing him, considering he's a psychoanalyst, honestly.
Yeah. And then some even more interesting thing that like I feel like the military did not like I mean I can understand why they might like be skeptical about it, but it's like sort of a couple of things that like they just kind of let pass on patient Sigma as they're like apprehending him. So here's the quote. One of the other MPs observed that as Sigma was being carried out, he was struggling wildly and crying out in pain. large animal-like bite marks appeared over his body, dripping with saliva and mixing with blood. Okay, so that's even more interesting. Phantom bite marks are happening on his body as he's being apprehended and taken away.
Oh, I don't know if those were being formed as he's being carried away.
Large animal-like bite marks appeared over his body, dripping. Appeared, not. I feel like that, to me, that insinuates that they're appearing in front of them. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just not clear enough.
Yeah, I assumed it's just he had those bite marks on him. Is what. But then
would they still be dripping with saliva, mixing in with the blood?
Yeah, I did find that weird.
Yeah, that's why that's one of the other reasons why I thought it was these are happening while they're taken away. It's imagine just being the guys like Kara was like, what the fuck? Also,
that makes a lot more sense your way, to be honest. Yeah, that's why he's screaming. He wasn't screaming before, but now he is, because they're taking him away, and the demon is trying to hold him back.
Yeah,
physically,
or just biting him as he's being taken away. Just for shits, not even just they're just following him and just biting him. All three goat heads are just biting him invisibly.
Maybe that's why the goat head is in the room with him, because it basically bit onto him and was being dragged into the room with him.
Yes, it's just
kind of makes him adorable and hilarious, though.
A little bit. I've been watching a lot of Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss lately, which are these cartoon shows about hell.
Yeah,
you kind of just now see this 3-headed goat demon as one of the characters from Hell of a Boss.
Yeah, a cartoony version of him, just with his tail dragging on the ground as they're carrying this guy away.
Exactly, because they even go to the in Hell of a Boss, they even go to the real world, to the living world, and have to deal with a military organization that knows that hell exists and have been trying to capture the demons.
Oh wow!
So yeah. Anyway, I guess that's a connective tissues time thing.
Technically, I guess.
Also, fun fact: in various paranormal investigation circles, demonic hauntings do have instances where people just exhibit sudden spontaneous bite marks and claw marks on their victims.
Mm-hmm.
So on some of the investigators, when they're investigating a haunting that's supposed to be demonic in nature, or people who are living in a house that's demonically haunted, supposedly claw marks just randomly appear on person's body, or bite marks appear on their body as well. So it's sort of hinted at the more demonic trait situation that's happening here for me at this point with the bite marks.
Yeah.
But I'll move on to the next thing here. So this is from I think the first entry. I probably should have brought up the timestamp of the journal entries. Yeah, this is from Tuesday, 17 August. Initial assessment is acute post-traumatic stress syndrome combined with hyperpsychosomatic hysteria. There must be more to this than meets the eye. Clearly, this is the work of the Decepticons.
Of course.
Okay.
Sorry, I could not resist. As soon as I read, there must be more than meets the eye. I was I just recently watched Rise of the Beasts.
So, more connective tissues.
yeah, it's just connective tissues all the way down, guys. Mikey.
I just found a grammar inquisition. So the very next sentence, PTSS, which is capitalized, rarely involves cannibalism and spontaneous bite mark wounds. So and is capitalized, which makes you think that because the previous one is capitalized and is an acronym, that and is an acronym.
No, I would have taken that as and how we emphasized and there. I would not have gone with the A and D being it. But you do you, boo.
It doesn't need to be capitalized.
It doesn't need to be, but
emphasis.
Yeah, emphasis, man.
Would you rather it be italics? I sure as hell wouldn't.
Yeah.
Bold.
Or I guess it could be bold.
Yeah, bold. Just spoiler. End of spoiler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess you could go with that, because honestly, that's how I kind of see it. You would be able to see that was definitely a emphasis if this was in a written journal kind of thing. It's and little emphasis to that "and" there.
Yeah, or underline it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Which I guess could be finally a use for that underlined part of along with like bolding and dreaded italics.
I actually appreciate the italics in this one, though.
How dare you?
Did you not?
I guess it's fine. I just didn't care. I honestly did like. All right, so it's italic. All the entries are italics. Okay.
You didn't notice.
I noticed them, but I was like, they didn't really. I guess it's like, oh, just to like kind of give some signify that these are written bits rather than like, yeah, they're fine. It's pretty cool. It's just also I'm still trying to recover from the fact that you liked them. But I'll move on to the next thing. Sigma is still unresponsive and has not eaten for the past few days. Muscle mass clearly deteriorating. Would it be clearly would his muscle mass clearly be deteriorating after only a few days of not eating? Is that like
well, your body starts eating itself.
Yeah, but would it? Yeah, but like I guess like if he's a pretty lean like dude, like he's a soldier, like they're supposed to be like fairly like muscled and like and not a whole lot of fat, right? Like or that at least they're supposed to be the ideal version. So I suppose like maybe it would be noticeable from somebody who's doesn't have a lot of fat on them because like that's where the first thing that the body starts eating or cannibalizing first. But yeah.
So it would be noticeable that the definition on the muscles would be lessened, definitely.
Yeah. I just want to like muscle mass clearly deteriorating. It's like, would it be clearly deteriorating, or it's just like, am I being too nitpicky here?
Yes.
Okay. I'll move on to the next thing I have.
Feel like you haven't stopped eating for 3 days and just lied there.
I mean, you're right. I haven't. All right, I'll move on to the next thing I have. Have managed to borrow night vision goggles from Contact in unit supply, state of the art, active infrared, military grade hardware. And then later on, we get this. After a few moments, Clive realized that patient Sigma was not talking to himself, but the corner of the room. Curiosity got the better of him, and he stretched his neck to look there too. Sticking out of the wall were 3 monstrous goat-like heads, liquid dripping from their maws, talking back to patient Sigma. Okay, so it brings up later that the theory is when Sigma was temporarily dead, he may have brought something back with him when he came back to life. But with Clive having the night vision goggles, it brought to mind another story entirely involving the military. So here's my connective tissues time. I'm not sure if this is a creepypasta or if this is just like a conspiracy theory kind of story that's been brought up and it has only like existed for like the last little while. But I've heard some stories in the past, like the last couple of months, even like a year, from several different several different people, bringing up this thing that apparently happened in the Vietnam War when they were testing night vision goggles, like early versions of night vision goggles for night runs and flights in Vietnam, like the American military and such. And they first used goggles with a very specific red lens, and pilots and soldiers who began using those goggles began shooting up into the air or firing up in the sky while they were piloting and trying to dodge invisible things, because they were reporting that they were seeing demons flying through the sky through the lenses, like as they were seeing these things through the lenses, and they were reporting specifically demonic forms flying around in the skies above Vietnam. The goggles eventually got changed out with a different type of lens, and that's why we use green lenses rather than red. Apparently, in night vision goggles. Again, I'm not sure if this is just a creepypasta or like an urban legend kind of thing that's just kind of made the rounds. But it's popped up a couple of times on my on various feeds I have, and I just thought it was kind of interesting that like the character here is like using night vision goggles while looking into the cell in this military base and seeing demons. So I bring this up because what if Clive saw the demons because of his state of the art night vision goggles, and Sigma was seeing them simply as a result of his perception or brain chemistry being tweaked by being as a result of being temporarily dead. So like this isn't so much like he brought something back from hell with him or from the afterlife with him. This is more of like a from beyond situation where the demon things are always there with us, just in a slightly out of phase sort of situation. Like they're always invisible and they can't really hurt us because we can't see them or perceive them. But unless now that because these characters have been like augmented, like their perception of reality has been augmented in some way, now they're able to see them and now they can't unsee them, kind of thing.
I mean, that's possible, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
From reading it, it's assumed that basically just the demon hides from sight in the light when people are watching, and
That's
he
true, yeah.
came out of the wall to talk to him in the middle of the night because there was no one there. And the only reason he was able to see him through the night vision is simply because it's darkened. And the demon believed that there was no one else there.
True. And then it wasn't until he gasped in horror that the demon then like looked to him and like, "You've been seen, bitch."
Yeah.
and now at the end of the story, when we're like, he's like being interviewed by WTS, and at no point does he stray away. Does his eyes stray away from the corner behind? I presume behind WTS. So like now, like that he's seen the creatures, he can't unsee them, and or maybe he's just paranoid of the corners. Like he's expecting them to pop out of the corners now.
Yeah, it could be either.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought it was an interesting thing because again, that's been in my mind like from like a couple of different like sources of media and such.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, what if this wasn't like something they were dragged to hell? What if, or like dragged back up? What if it was like something that's just always around us and we just don't perceive it normally, kind of thing? But yeah, just a theory, a creepypasta theory. Thanks for listening.
For watching. Listening here.
Yeah. And then I'll move on to my last one. Wherever the truth lies, wherever the truth lies, I do know this. Throughout our whole conversation, Clive never once took his eyes off the corner of the room. Dun dun dun. Another one of those like little like kind of Twilight Zone or like Outer Limits style kind of like zinger endings where it's like, and here's this thing. not as big as the other ones, I feel, but like it was still kind of like a it honestly reminded me more of like a Freaky Story sort of like twist ending kind of thing. But yeah, this is probably just because Clive is paranoid now of corners after what he saw, or maybe he now sees the goat-headed demon in the corner, like he's now seeing it in the corner because it's latched onto him since Sigma is now dead.
Yeah, it's basically targeted him now.
Yeah, so he's being haunted now by the things rather than now that Sigma is gone. So
I honestly like this ending because what basically it's finally come back to WTS. Like there's creepy shit happening around him directly now.
yes,
Like all the other stories is just people telling him shit while they're out having coffee or whatever the hell. But and yes, this story is someone telling him a story. But for all he knows, there's literally a demon behind him the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. This is it's not like it's not quite it happened to a friend of mine kind of story where like he's being told this by somebody, but it happened to somebody else, which is the case in the last couple.
Mm-hmm.
This one is actually like he's interviewing the guy that this happened to, and while they're having this discussion, while the story is being told to WTS, he may also be in the story now. As a result.
And if the demon is actually like listening to what's going on, he knows that WTS knows his story, so he might be marked by him now too.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a lot of movies like nowadays that kind of do that thing where like something like the supernatural thing is afflicting a victim at the start of the movie, and then like the creature then like hops bodies either after the person dies or after they like flee or escape, because they've passed on the supernatural presence or thing to another person, kind of thing. And then by the end, like either the main character dies or they're critically injured, and they think that everything's good. Like they think that they've dealt away with the creature, only for it to pass over to like their best friend or somebody like close to them.
Yeah, it's
Like
an STD. It's a supernaturally transmitted demon.
Yeah, or it's I don't so like the STD, like the supernatural. It's kind of like I'm thinking of like the creature from like things like Smile. Not quite It Follows, because It Follows like requires something a little bit more intimate to pass over the plague or pass over the STD, or the STK, the supernaturally transmitted killer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like kind of it's definitely that kind of thing. Like I like that supernaturally transmitted demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very that's definitely like a classification for a certain type of like movie monster in movies in the last couple of like in the last decade or two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's honestly all I have for this story. So, Mikey, these stands for evil. What do you have for your actual thoughts?
So, my number one beef is the corner. So, it doesn't state which corner that the character is staring at. Like, most
Does it
rooms have
matter?
4 corners.
Okay.
So just saying it's the corner, it's like, okay, well, which one? Like, is it the corner close to the door? Is it the northwest corner? Like,
Does it matter?
I'd like. Well, from a science perspective, it does. So, like,
This demon over here, applying science to the supernatural.
Well, but he's the guy's a psychologist, right? So he should note which corner the patient Sigma is staring at.
Okay, that's
not just
true.
The corner. Like, is there only one corner in this room? Then that's not a room.
How dare it could be like it could be like there's one corner and then the rest of the room is just curved to the door.
A circular room that goes to a point in one side. It's like a teardrop sort of shape.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this could be like, it could almost be like the Hounds of Tindalos, which is actually also about a people freaking out about corners because that's where the demons or the hounds come through is various angles. So in the story they actually like he enters a room that has no angles or has no sharp angles. Like they've softened all the sharp angles in the room, so it's just this like roundish room. But yeah.
But I do get what you're saying, because like it doesn't describe the room very well. It's just like he's in the room, strapped to the bed, staring at the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm assuming just whatever corner is directly in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, also if you want to go like demonically, I think I mean maybe the south corner, like the south corner or like the southeast or southwest corner, because like, you know, south being also a term for down, i.e. hell.
I suppose.
There's actually a movie where that's like that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like that deals with like demons in like the American South. So
I mean, there is the term of like things going south, things going bad, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be nice if it was stated, but it isn't. So
okay.
Yeah, and that's my actual thoughts.
All right, gamer.
All right, what do I got here? There must be more to this than meets the eye, as you said this before. Yeah. PTSS rarely. I forgot. I should have chimed in on this when you said it, but it doesn't matter. Regardless, PTSS rarely involves cannibalism and spontaneous bite mark wounds. So it says rarely, so that means it can happen?
Probably cannibalism,
True.
but I don't know about the bite mark. Spontaneous, but also spontaneous. It even mentions spontaneous bite marks, so they are
Yeah.
spontaneously appearing on his body as they're dragging him out.
But the weird part here is he's saying like it rarely involves cannibalism and spontaneous bite mark wounds, which means like spontaneous bite mark wounds are like somewhat common. Like it's not.
Yeah. That's fair.
In 1% of cases.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Actually, I could not to throw a mundane thing in here and ruin my entire like my entire view of the story, but like,
Do it.
but like certain people with issues like that, like they do bite themselves when they're not when no one's around. So that would probably be mentioned on like a report as a spontaneous bite marks, like just like bite marks like on their body that like they've themselves inflicted upon themselves.
Possibly,
but because that is definitely like some like that's definitely a symptom, I think, of certain mental illnesses and issues. So
either way, my big problem here is saying rarely, because
Yeah.
like also I looked up PTSS since I didn't really know it was a thing, because like we always hear about PTSD specifically.
Yeah.
And PTSS is basically, through my crappy Googling, the symptoms that happen within like the first month of a traumatic event, all of which aren't as severe as PTSD effects. So if he's going through cannibalism in the first stage of this, shit's gonna get real bad after a month if this all sets in, you know?
You know what's worse than cannibalism? Auto cannibalism, where you eat yourself. i.e. spontaneous bite marks.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we're talking about Pizza the Hut here.
Yes, Pizza the Hut definitely suffered from PTSS and spontaneous human consumption. Goddamn. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Either way, my whole point here is like, rarely seems weird to put there, because it seems like, again, I don't know a whole bunch about PTSS, but like from what I gather, they're not severe symptoms, and I feel like cannibalism is a severe symptom. So he should be saying like, basically, PTSS does not involve severe symptoms like cannibalism, but here we are. Like I don't know, like
maybe there's there are rare cases of it. Hence why he said rarely. But it could also it might also just be a generalized use of that word, just like for the like maybe it's a flub of, or like a misuse of the word kind of thing.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not an authority on this, so I can't really say one way or another. I just felt it strange when I Googled what that means. Regardless, I'll move on. Right, so this is I'll read it. Test a hypothesis this afternoon. Stood directly in front of Sigma's vision. Sigma immediately began screaming loud and frightening. Stepped away, and Sigma resumed catatonic state. Spent 10 minutes examining the corner that Sigma stares at. It's beige. Like, that's all he got after 10 minutes? Wow. I feel like you can tell that in the first second. Regardless.
Yep, that's definitely a beige wall.
It's like, maybe it's a tan. I don't know. It could be tactful yellow.
Yeah, or boring yellow.
How dare you?
Come on, beige is definitely a boring yellow.
Yeah, a little bit. But regardless, it says, could that have a calming effect on Sigma? Will require further observation. So, first off, he does not do any further observation. Second off, I thought what he was going to do was like get someone on the base to make like a smaller copy of the wall that he can like push in front of the other wall and see if he still screams in pain.
Yeah, I kind of an image that popped in my head as we were like talking about this is just him like doing the Ace Ventura like
yes,
or, like just stepping in front of it and then stepping back out, stepping back in front of it, stepping back out as he gets like as the guy's just like Ah!
Just fucking with them.
Just like, okay, that's definitely having an effect.
He does it for 10 solid minutes until he comes to that conclusion.
I'm a duck.
Wow.
Yep.
And Ace Ventura is this character.
Ace
Really
Ventura.
changes everything.
God damn it, Clive is now Ace Ventura,
Yeah.
or is just Jim Carrey in like as an Ace Ventura-esque character.
Yeah. But I'll move on.
Okay.
In regards to, so we get to the journals, and I like the journals. They're simple. They have italics, which I love.
In this one instance, yeah, apparently.
I mean, okay. I like the italics because you can clearly tell it's not WTS just recounting things, and they're all like line breaked out, so it's all separated nicely.
Yeah, you know what? I realize why you like it and why it works for you. Because everything in that in the blurbs are italics.
Yeah,
it's not one or the other.
You can't miss it.
Yeah, exactly. That just clicked. Is like that's probably why why you like it aesthetically. Is like because it's not one word that's like hidden because of the italics. Everything is italiced in in those blurbs. So.
Yep, it's for a purpose.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we get those, and then after the last one where he's like, I'm gonna go sneak in, see what happened, and then it stops doing journals.
Yeah.
It says that was the last of in Clive's journals. He had abruptly resigned the following morning. The way I first saw that was like in the Lord of the Rings episode from South Park, when Token volunteers to watch the one tape to see what mystical powers it has, and he comes back out in his normal clothes instead of his medieval outfit that he had on, and he's like, I'm not playing anymore. I don't know what was on that. I don't want to know. I'm out. And then walks away.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you brought up South Park, I can insert this part. Did you when I first brought up Clive? Did you were you also bring up as like Clive? We lost Clive.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I didn't think that, but now I can't unthink that.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came. I was like, I'm not going to mention this unless Gamer does, but like,
because you don't want to be the one to bring up South Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, there's certain names that have been ruined because of South Park.
Yeah, thanks South Park.
Yeah,
but yeah. And for me, thinking about it, like if the story just ended here, and like it would have been kind of cool.
Yeah,
and not have more stuff spelled out to us. Just like he resigned that following morning. We don't know what happened. Like,
yeah, if he did not tell Nair, because clearly, like, why we're getting this part is because like this is part of the interview he had with Nair about what happened, like after the journal entries, right? So,
yeah, but it could be Nair got all this information like from the military, like from a military contact, not from Clive himself.
Oh, it might even be better. I don't know if this is going to be something you hear. If it is, I'll redact it and you can go jump in. It'd be even cooler is like, it stops here. Like he doesn't mention anything about like what he saw, but it does end with the last quote where like he's staring at the corner of the wall the whole time.
Yeah, like
Did you have it?
No, I didn't say that, but
okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like he resigned the following morning, and then like people went and checked on him, but he just wouldn't leave his room. He's like staring at the corner in his apartment all day long.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
Like now,
but again,
he's seeing it. But yeah,
it would like kind of give us blue balls a little bit in regards to like we want to know what's going on.
On the one hand, blue balls.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it does insert a bit more mystery to what the fuck he saw.
Yeah, but also like there's no confirmation that it's supernatural at that point because it could just be literally
psychosis.
Like, yeah, for sure. But I don't know if that makes it better or worse keeping it super vague.
Yeah. It's sort of it's always a fine line, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You don't know like how effective it's going to be unless you try it or like see which one works or not, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then my last, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, because I mean, like if that had been the story, like our views might be different of it. It's like, or we might be complaining that there's not like it didn't actually have a supernatural ending. It could all be explained through psychological means.
Oh, for sure.
Like now we're like we dig the supernatural stuff, but we're still talking. It was like, well, it might have been cool if it was actually more mundane, or more, maybe not more mundane, but like left an air of mystery. But
it's the old story. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone, that kind of deal. So as long as you do what you want to do and you like it, that's all you can do. But regardless, I'll move on.
Yes.
My last note was basically just, I personally kind of wish the journal entries continued and explained what happened in them instead of like immediately jumping to outside the journal, because like it would have been a more interesting view to hear it from Clive's mouth, writing down like what he saw when he woke up the next morning and like his sudden fear and
yeah.
And
this is
whether
like
he can believe his own eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah, we got like one last entry. It's like, this is my last entry for this case. I will not be doing any more. Fuck this noise. But like along those lines kind of thing of just like he's just giving up the case, and like we get that last entry kind of thing.
Yeah, or he goes like hard into this and he's like, I don't know what the fuck I saw. I need to find out more, and he like goes to the library researching demons and shit like that or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, actually, what if the last entry was just the corner, just in repeat for like a couple of lines?
Yeah.
Or they're in the corner, they're watching from the corner, they're watching from the corner. Just like that, just repeated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm.
Because at this point, like, we don't really know. Clive seems fine because he's sitting there just telling him all of this. Like,
while
sure, he's staring at. Yes, but that could just be his own PTSS. That's like true. Literally just he saw a traumatic event, so he's concerned of corners.
Or maybe he's just like really socially awkward now, like so he just can't look at anybody in the eye anymore.
Maybe, yeah.
He just has to look off to the side.
Mm. Yeah, a little bit more insanity on Clive would be nice.
Yeah, a little bit. Like at least show that he's shaken a bit more than like it is cool. Like the ending, like where we get like at no point during our conversation did he stray from looking at the corner. Like maybe have a little bit more like fidgeting or like as if ready to like leap away from his chair at any moment kind of thing.
I'm also surprised that like the military let him go. And he's like free to just tell whoever the hell he wants about this shit.
I mean, they might go on the whole like situation, much like Delta Green. It's like, who's gonna believe you? No one's gonna believe you.
I mean, I guess, yeah. And granted, the military doesn't even know what's going on because they apparently don't have night vision on their security cameras.
They also don't have audio.
Strange. Okay, yeah, the audio is also strange, but like, yeah, like there's
it's
no
not
like
unheard of, but yeah,
there's no night vision in there, so like they can't, keep an eye on them to make sure they're not escaping in the night.
Yeah,
it seems strange.
Or like I guess maybe it's like it like the camera unfortunately just covers like, oh yeah, I guess it was the night vision that was, well yeah, like that, like either night vision or like maybe the camera was just showing patient Sigma, not anywhere else in the room. So it was like the corners were in the blind spot of the camera.
I mean, maybe. So that's the end of my notes.
Okay. Then I suppose we move on to final thoughts. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend it. I did enjoy the read with the way it was formatted and the concept behind here. Like I like the idea of like this Marine who like came back from the dead, went back on the job, had a psychotic episode, it seems, but then it turns out that psychotic episode was induced by something demonic. And the psychoanalyst is the one to find out about it. That's a cool idea.
I'm curious what the demon wants out of him.
Because like, he did bring up like bits that he overheard, right?
Yeah, he heard him saying, like, he heard Clive saying while he was sneaking in there with his night vision. Clive was saying, like, promised, don't harm family, leave Sarah. Sarah, you wrote this.
I knew you were. Also, you mean Sigma was saying that, not Clive.
yes. Sorry.
Yeah. It was like yeah, like so like the demons were probably like have been tormenting him for the last like few weeks or months, just saying like they're going to like drag his family, because he did have a loving family, like he did have a loving wife and kid and stuff like that. So yeah, like
He also said, "Did as you told," so the demon probably told him to kill his whole squad.
Yeah, or they'll go after the family. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, like it's a really cool idea, and like I dug it. It's just like I guess ultimately I still will recommend it, like with no trepidation. It's just like initially I was like kind of like there's something missing here, kind of thing. Maybe that's because like I wanted more like the journal entries, kind of like what you were saying there, Gamer.
Yeah. Like we start to see character through the journal entries, and we see the process of him trying to understand, and then it just stops flat.
Yeah. And again, like the format of these stories were like they're freaky stories, happened to a friend of mine by WTS. I like we brought up. I like how this one is more is tied closer to Won't Think Straight than some of the other ones we've heard recently. Like it's like was the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's like 1 degree of Kevin Bacon for WTS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for all we know, when Clive dies, all of a sudden WTS is going to be seeing the goat demon in the corner.
Yeah, like maybe we'll get like a sequel, like where it's like, well, so Clive recently died in a horrible fire, and now I started hearing voices and seeing something in the corner of my rooms.
It turns out he has to go back to what's her name, Emily's place, into the creepy room to like find out answers. Like this is all going to connect all the stories together.
And then like and with the help of Grumbles and Bugman, or was it Grumbles, or no, it was was it Giggles? It wasn't Giggles.
Gurgles.
Yeah, with the help of Gurgles and Bugman.
Yeah.
Or Gurgles and Bugman is working with the 3-headed demon goat. God, yeah, we're getting like I don't think it's gonna go that way, but it would be really funny, or like really fun. I think more less serious, but more fun if it all like led up to like a really big connective story.
Basically.
Like a really big connective story with like with a bunch of these things coming together, like coalescing back.
Mm-hmm.
I like, and yeah, similar to that kind of vein, but like not quite. Again, I did really enjoy the mention of the update from the previous story, because it helped add a little bit extra continuity, and like it made this feel more like a serialized thing rather than just like a bunch of disconnected stories that this guy's just telling over the course of various entries.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is sort of a continuity to it, that as he's telling these stories, he's giving updates from the previous one. So yeah, I'm going to still recommend this one. Mikey, D stands for evil.
Spoiler, I hate it.
Wow.
And I'm talking to the spoiler.
Yeah, okay.
I see.
Fair.
Because of the spoiler, while reading this, I was constantly waiting for how does this connect to the previous story?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
And because of that, it ruined my experience. Now, taking away that spoiler section and reading it, I didn't have that problem.
Mm.
So, because of that, I can only give this a partial recommendation.
But if the spoiler section, the follow-up to the previous story, was put maybe at the end, you would have liked it more?
The end of the previous story, or the
end of
the end of this one.
Well, potentially, because I wouldn't have that at the forefront of my mind while reading it.
Yeah.
So
the format would be, here's the new story over. By the way, this is the progression of previous events, whatever they may be. Moving on.
Yeah, that might be better. But then at the same time, you lose the zinger at the end because you have an update at the end for a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Once again, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fair enough. So still no or partial recommendation?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Then on to Gamer.
For me, it was a short and sweet read. I do wish that journals were continued with Clive's findings, as I said, instead of it being kind of glossed over and like not in his words specifically after that point. But all in all, it was an easy read. No grammar problems that I personally found. So I wasn't stumbling over anything. And like when I was taking notes, I even like cut my notes down like by 2 or 3 separate instances of me writing down a note, because like as soon as I brought up something that I didn't understand, be it grammar or otherwise, I looked into it more and I'm like, you know what, this is probably fine. like for example, why didn't like Clive put a mic in the room and it was garbage, and he's like, shit. Well, I guess I'll try something else. And like when I read that, I'm like, why don't you just put a better mic in? Like, but then again, as soon as I thought that, I'm like, the problem isn't necessarily putting a better mic in. The problem is having a better mic in without Sigma knowing that you put a mic in there, because he's trying to do it on the down low. So it's not like he can just get the army to come in and just get a freaking step ladder and like hook up a mic to the camera or something like that, or just
Swinging
a huge boom mic over top of them, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, like he's like, all right, blindfold patient Sigma. All right, just like
mic test 1, 2. Okay,
all right, take the blindfold off.
Wait, did you put your plugs in him?
Damn it!
Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, they could maybe get away with it, like they have to wheel them out to like clean the room or some shit. But
yeah, because I mean, the guy's like not eating and not sleeping. So, but he's got to be pooping at some point, like soiling himself.
Oh,
so.
I was just thinking maybe he's a reverse hey. So basically, you cover his head and you start screaming.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Like I know. I was just thinking that too. Like when I said like blindfold him, he just starts screaming. Yeah. It's like, oh, good. This will cover up this. This will cover up this job. You won't hear it over the screams.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah. All in all, I did like the story. As I said, I just wish there was more. I wish we got more character from Clive. It's like you started getting it and then it stopped. But I'll still recommend it because I enjoyed it.
All right. So I guess that'll make it 2 recommendations and 1 partial recommendation. So that'll do it for tonight. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave a comment section below where this gets posted. We're all on Twitter. Mikey's at the E stands for evil. The Gamer and Yell is at the Gamer and Yell without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah. Don't have a choice though.
No. And I'm at Review Cultist. I'm also on Blue Sky at Review Cultist, so you can send me stuff there. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Select the backer you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tiers with special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to the listeners and authors of these stories, thank you immensely. Because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, without these stories that you write and
it'd be like screaming in the corner at the corner, actually.
It'd be like screaming into the corner that's been blocked from your view. So you can't see the 3-headed demon goat. And without your with your authorship, these stories that you write and post online, whether it be on Creepypasta.wiki or the SCP or Reddit NoSleep in this regard, we definitely wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.